Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Vocal Mentality Educational Series. I am Dr. Samke Ngobo, the founder of Vocal Mentality. I am living with bipolar disorder, and I'm also a medical professional who has been navigating this journey for many years now. I have been so excited to relaunch and return and continue this journey with you. And I look forward to the contribution that I'll be making and hope to empower you and support you in your journey of living with mental illness, or if you're a supporter of somebody navigating mental illness. This platform is very special to me, and I hope that you gain and learn from this platform. In this season, we are focusing on the time of the relapse. There's so much confusion and misunderstanding about the life of somebody who lives with mental illness. But more than anything, the time when they relapse is a time that is very difficult. I found it important for me to share my journey of living with bipolar disorder and also to share about the season of relapse. Oftentimes, we become muted or mum about it, but I believe that it's time that we focus on this journey. I look forward to sharing my path with you. So, some of you might not know who I am, and it's your first time encountering me. So, I believe that it's time for me to share that and that we continue this journey together going forward. I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder at the age of 14. I was in high school in grade 9. I was confused. Many people did not know what was happening to me at the time. This is described as the index presentation. We've come a very long way since that time, since we are in 2025 now. 5 years ago, I had a life-changing experience. For the first time, I had an episode which was public, witnessed by many people who did not know about my illness, and others who did know about it. I want to share about that journey because it changed my life and changed the trajectory that I've taken since that time. Actually, this is what birthed Vocal Mentality. 5 years ago, I had a public episode. During that time, I was becoming increasingly disorganized in how I was behaving, in how I was speaking, and people did not realize what was happening to me initially. At that time, I then ended up leaving voice notes that were witnessed by many people and then circulated. I believe that it's very important for me to highlight what triggered the episodes and how it was handled and managed, how there are many lessons in that and learnings that can be gained from that. So prior to that, in 2019, I was becoming increasingly stressed by work pressures and other interpersonal issues. During that time, I was starting to forget things often. One of the things was that I was not taking my medication as frequently as I was supposed to. And defaulting treatment results in relapse. Slowly but surely, there was a decline in my functioning. My concentration was impaired, my memory was impaired, my sleep was impaired. My speech was changing. Many aspects of my life were shifting in a negative manner. But things started to escalate as the episode came. I do not forget February 3. It was a Sunday. I had flown back home, and during that time, people were becoming concerned. Things escalated very fast during that time. Eventually, I was taken to hospital. Because of many issues that were related to that time, I ended up in a state facility for the first time in my life. And for the first time, I was introduced to experiencing hospitalization in the state sector. I've worked in the state sector for many years of my career and had exposure and knew the environments thereof. But to actually be on the receiving end of that was a different matter altogether. I learned a lot, but was traumatized as well. One of the things I realized during my hospitalization at that time was that my autonomy was not being respected. I was very frustrated at how things were happening, and I felt unheard and unseen. This is one of the things that inspired me to share this platform, to create this platform as well, because I realized that many people do not understand the lived experience of people with mental illness. It's very important for the journey to be highlighted so that people are empowered and educated. During that time, I was admitted for 2.5 weeks in the state facility. One of the greatest frustrations that I had during that time was that although there were programs that were provided related to that, their quality was not to the standard that I felt was in keeping with my level of functioning. I felt undermined. I felt misunderstood as well. Oftentimes when I'd protest, I'd be seen as the troublemaker. And this is the time when I realized that the voice of people with mental illness is not heard loud enough. Although I've been a medical professional in the state sector, working in mental health care services, I believe that more can be done. The thing that stands out for me is the fact that I believe that I don't have to wait for people to bring about the change. I decided to be the change. Hence, you're seeing me today. My story is not of sadness and lack of hope, but it's a story of inspiration, but also, importantly, it's about education. I want people to learn and understand what it is like to live with mental illness from the perspective of someone living with it, but also share insights from an educational perspective as a medical professional who has been in this field. So oftentimes these terms float around and people become embarrassed to even ask, what is a relapse? When somebody says a relapse, what do we mean? And you become scared to even ask that you don't even understand what this means. So don't worry, I'm here to rescue that. So when somebody relapses, it means that the symptoms of the illness are re-emerging. So they would have had an episode before, which is what an index presentation is, which is the first episode. Following that, if their symptoms re-emerge for any reason, it means they are starting to relapse. They are reverting back to the symptoms and the presentation of the illness. It could be depression, it could be bipolar. In this case, the focus is bipolar disorder. But in any condition, if somebody is relapsing, it means the symptoms of the illness are re-emerging. So it's very important to pick up on those signs and learn to understand what those signs are. So what does rehabilitation looks like following this time? I believe it's very important for us to learn about that. So, when one is in the hospital, you do not sleep the whole time when you're in the hospital. I initially assumed that if one gets admitted into a facility, a mental health facility, you spend your time sleeping the whole day, but the reality is that you don't. It's important to understand that when you're in a hospital admission for any reason, you do not sleep the whole day. The reality is that there's a program that is in place. So there are different professionals that assist you. And it's very important for me to explain the management of that. So we have what is called a multidisciplinary team approach, where the various stakeholders who support you work together collaboratively in order to bring about the improvement in your symptoms and help you return home. There's a psychiatrist who provides your care. They are responsible for providing medication. They are responsible for also providing some psychotherapy as well. There's a psychologist as well who also sees you and also provides psychotherapy. An important person who often isn't spoken about and I cannot be thankful enough for is the occupational therapist. For most of my journey in my illness, I was familiar with the psychologist and the psychiatrist. But the occupational therapist is somebody I only became really exposed to in a tangible manner when I became admitted and also had an incapacity leave. When I highlight the importance of my episode 5 years ago, I say that it birthed this platform because it educated me and also inspired me to educate you. The severity of my relapse resulted in impairment of my functioning. I had cognitive impairment, which means the functioning of my brain was affected by the episode. I had psychosis. I was disorganized and I was not able to function the way I could previously. My psychiatrist informed me that I require some leave for 3 weeks. Upon review, I returned, and on return, she said I require to be on incapacity leave for 6 months. I did not know what that meant or what it would look like, but she told me that I was not in a state to function in my work as a doctor until I recover fully because of the impact of my episode. This meant that 6 months of my life was spent at home, and she recommended that I reach out to an occupational therapist on an outpatient basis. I then did exercises and puzzles and many things that required her to help me rehabilitate. There was an initial assessment by the occupational therapist. She then gave feedback about how I was functioning. My scores were low. It did not look promising. I then continued with the rehabilitation with the occupational therapist. With time, I started to improve gradually. And after that, an assessment was made that I was ready to return to my functioning. But there were recommendations that were made in order for me to be protected in terms of my well-being. So this meant that there had to be things in place for me to return to my work environment in a healthy manner. I then decided at that time to pursue other pursuits as well. And this enabled me to not be constrained in terms of the demands of the work and the pressures thereof. So recommendations were made by the occupational therapist about the working conditions that I could return to. There were many lessons learned and many things that I had during that time of incapacity leave. I had to go back to ground zero and build all the way up. I had to learn what my strengths are and what my weaknesses are. I also learned how to protect my strengths and also how to avoid my weaknesses as well. I felt compromised in how people handled my illness as well. The stigma related to that was difficult to fathom, but psychotherapy was very instrumental in helping me return to my functioning. Hospitalisation does not need to be a scary place. It's a place to help us bounce back. But people speak about a bounce back as if it's automatic, but it's not. It's a process, and recovery needs to be treated with patience and care. Returning to your former functioning is possible with the right support and the right management. I cannot stress the importance more about the medication. I've remained committed to taking my medication, and I've also realized that it's important for me to remain on course with it. I encourage family members to be supportive of their loved ones in this journey, and in the next few episodes, we will be discussing how that looks. It's not easy, but it's doable. But you need to pace yourself and be patient with yourself, and also really lean on the people who care for you and support you during this time. I hope this session has been insightful for you. I hope it's been empowering. I hope it's been educational for you. And I do look forward to hearing more from your feedback. So remember, you do not have to suffer from mental illness, but you can thrive despite it. Until next time.